5.5 months, really, since the election. Job, coming to you. You were at the SPD party headquarters yesterday. Give us an idea of what the feeling was there.
Well, I think I saw a lot of nervous people walking around. They act very confident about the result, but I think deep in their heart, the SPD leadership is definitely not that confident. They have been traveling all over the country. They have seen a lot of skepsis. They have been criticized fiercely by their own members.
Yes.
So they will definitely be very nervous today looking at the result.
And we're looking at pictures here of this press conference that we're waiting for these results to be released. You said that they were making a show of confidence. Is there a reason to fear that there could be a no vote? I mean, how likely is that to happen?
I think it's not very likely to happen because the choice SPD members have to make is, do we want to have a political national crisis or not? And that's basically have a knife on their throat. So that will probably edge the vote to a yes. But we have seen the skepsis they have seen within their own party. I've never seen it that big within the SPD before.
Simon, we heard also Michaela say, you know, this is Germany's oldest democratic party, you know, really a mainstay in Germany's political system. Why is it in such a crisis, as Job was saying?
Well, there are many reasons for that, but two things stand out, I think. There's a long-term sense that the SPD needs to find a new role. Germany's economy is no longer the industrial, primarily and exclusively industrial economy that it once was. And so you don't perhaps have so many voters who are just thinking in terms of traditional working class left-wing values, which is where the SPD has come from. The other thing is that if this grand coalition happens, if it's a yes vote today, this will be the third grand coalition of social democrats and conservatives who are ideologically different parties in the last four governments. And now it obviously means that the Social Democrats have a lot of difficulty putting across their ideas and retaining profile in terms of, you know, their voters. So that is essentially why they've now dropped to their lowest support ever. There's a poll out just yesterday saying that their support is now at 16%, which is, you know, absolutely catastrophic for a party that was once up in the 40% and more.
And that turmoil, Job, is something that we've seen reflected in the party as well. A lot of infighting, right? A lot of struggle to find who is the leader of this party at the moment.
Yeah, and you know, Andrea Nahles is now the interim leader of the party.
Right, she's the parliamentary leader as well, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, Nahles, yeah.
And yes, I think she was also part of the team that negotiated this agreement. She was also part of the team, of the campaign team in the elections in September. So she is also responsible for the whole result, and that's also what members will see her as the part of the old leadership within the party. So her political faith is in the balance today, I think.
What do you think about what we've seen within the SPD, Simon?
Well, you know, you're talking about how likely is a no vote.
Yeah.
The leader of the no campaign, Kevin Kühnert, the leader of the youth wing of the party, who's been very, very vocal on this, travelling around the country trying to drum up support for the idea that a grand coalition is a disaster for the SPD. You know, he says that according to his perception, at least half of SPD members are against it.
That's him right there that we're looking at these
there
pictures.
There he is, yeah. And he's come into a new sort of profile. There's some talk that, you know, if there is a government with the SPD at some point in the future, either in the next few weeks or the next few months, he could well be part of it. Anyway, he's got a future in national politics for sure. But, you know, what I'm saying is that he has been talking it up even in the last few hours, saying that he thinks there's at least a possibility that they will go against it. So what you are seeing is a massive split, really, down the middle of this party. And it's going to be incredibly difficult for the leadership to bring it together whichever way this vote goes.
And we are waiting to find out, rather, which way that vote goes. Those are the pictures that we're looking at right now. This is the SPD party headquarters in Berlin. And there have been questions asked as well to ask both of you whether it's fair to let basically the future of the next German government be up to the party members of the Social Democrats, about 450,000 people. Is that a fair process?
Well, this has been challenged, in fact, in the Germany's constitutional court, as happened last time, 4 years ago, when there was also a vote on the same point from the membership. And in both cases, the court has said, well, you know, this is not a legally binding vote. The SPD have said it is binding on them. They are going to regard it as binding. They won't, say, OK, well, the members don't want it, but we're going to go ahead anyway. It's not legally binding, however, in a legal sense. So that therefore means essentially it's a consultation exercise. And of course, therefore, the SPD as a political party has the right to consult its membership. Indeed, it's probably a very wise thing to do, given the differences of opinion.
What's your take, Job? Is this democracy at its best?
No, I don't think so. When you look at the traditional parties in Germany, actually all over Europe, you see membership numbers going down. You see the trust in these parties going down. When I was at the SPD 7 years ago, they had like more than 650,000 members. That's already 450,000 now. So the traditional parties are declining, and yet they give the members of these parties an increased power. So it's a legitimacy question here.